Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Intentional Favor, and basically on this channel I share my life experiences on issues pertaining to faith, lifestyle, studying abroad, social work, and I also do a little bit of vlogging. So please, if you like to join this family, you are more than welcome to do so. Just hit the red subscribe button below, also hit notification bell, and when you do that, click on all. By doing that, you will not miss out of any of my videos. And to you, my returning subscribers, thank you guys so much for coming back. So guys, welcome back to another episode of the social work series. I want to believe you've been enjoying this series so far. In today's video, as you've seen the title already, I'll be sharing some tips on how to build or have a good relationship with your practice educator. In a previous video on this series, I talked about the practice educators, and I advised that you should pray so that you have a good one. By good, I mean a supportive one. I shared how it's your practice educator who determines a lot when it comes to you passing or failing your practice, your placement. So it's very important that you have a very good or a very supportive practice educator. Having said that, I don't think it's enough for me to just tell you that and not give you some tips on how to, even if your practice educator, like just to give you tips on how to have a good relationship with your practice educator, because sometimes, you know what, students actually contribute to the attitude of their practice educators towards them. I must be honest with you. Sometimes it's based on your attitude, your disposition to placement. These are some of the things that will also determine how your practice educator will relate with you. So I'll be sharing from my experience, and as always the experience of my fellow social work students in the past, how to have a very good relationship with your practice educator. So guys, the first thing I would say when it comes to having a good relationship with your practice educator is the place of supervision. Yes, that's actually the most important thing, because you'll be having regular supervision with your practice educator during your placement. Like I said in a previous video, you have supervision with your practice educator and with your on-site supervisor, because in some cases you have a different on-site supervisor, a different practice educator, and in some cases your practice educator can also double as your on-site supervisor. So whichever be the case, you will definitely have supervision with your practice educator. Now, this is an opportunity that you can utilize to have a good relationship with them. And there are some tips I'm going to be giving you when it comes to supervision that will help you have a good relationship with your practice educator. Having said that, in case you've not seen the previous videos, because there are some things I'll be saying I wouldn't want to repeat, which I've said in the previous episodes on this series, go ahead and watch them. Check the description box. I'll leave every link to the previous videos on social work placement in the description box, and you will do yourself good to watch them even as we continue in this series generally. So talking about supervision, what I would say is this: please try as much as possible to engage during your supervision. Engage, that's the word. Don't just come to your supervision unprepared. Don't just come to your supervision with nothing to show, with nothing to present. So somebody might be asking, what is supervision? What is supervision? Supervision, of course, is just where you come talk about, your struggles. They are there to make sure that you are doing well. Do you have any challenges? Do you have any case that is giving you problems? Just talk. Is where you actually express yourself, tell your supervisor what you've been up to. If you have some challenges and all of that, just talk about it and let them know the progress you are making in your placement. All right, so it's very, very important. Utilize it. It's very, very important. Don't just ignore it. All right, as a matter of fact, I don't know how busy your practice educator should be, but it shouldn't be the case, because they are being paid to actually, like, the university pays them to be your practice educator. So they most times I don't think that they will omit this aspect, no matter how busy they are. All right, and even if they are so busy, it's your responsibility to make sure that you have regular supervision. All right, so even if maybe at least you should be having supervision at least once a month, that's even the least you can have. During my placement, especially my last placement, which is so clear, or I still remember everything, I was having supervision once every 2 weeks. All right, yeah, so twice a month I was having my supervision. It never stopped. It was so regular. We never missed it. That was how dedicated my practice educator was with. And it, of course, she looked forward to my supervision. I look forward to my supervision because I always bring something to the table. So during your supervision, make sure that you come prepared. Don't just come there is nothing to talk about and you are just looking, or maybe your supervision will just last for 10 minutes and that's it. No. So prepare. Try as much as possible to prepare for your supervision. How do you prepare for your supervision? Make sure that all the cases that you are handling, especially the good ones, the interesting ones, and all of that, depending, of course, you have a small caseload. You won't have so much because you're a student social worker. All right. So in that point, make sure that how you will do it. I mentioned it in one of my previous videos that I used reflective supervision during my placement and I found it very, very useful. So what is it is that I always come, all right, these are my cases. This is what I've done so far. From the last time we met, this is it. Of course, the first placement was for me to talk about how my placement has been, what I enjoy about it, how supportive the team is, how I'm finding it. Did it meet up to my expectation? Were my expectations cut short and all of that? So these are the tips for your first supervision. When you come there, just talk about how your placement has been, how just express enthusiasm. You should have passion for it. It should be something you are enjoying. And even if you are not, you might just also at that point, that's the essence of supervision. Tell your practice educator your struggles, your challenges, what you are facing. Have you met some people that probably as an international student, as someone of color, maybe have you met some service users or some even workers in the organization or the local authorities where you are who are probably racist or that are biased and all of that? That is time for you to just express yourself, engage, talk. Don't just come there like they ask you a question, you give one word answer or just in a sentence and done. No, you should be the one to bring things because your supervision is about you, not about your practice educator. So this is one tip. So when you engage and probably use reflective supervision, come on board. Your first supervision, talk about how it has been. Cases are now being allocated to you. Then during the next supervision, you tell your practice educator, oh, look at this case I'm handling now. Look how they are. Of course, make sure you should be professional, all right? So when discussing your cases, make sure that it is anonymous. Don't come call the names of the mom or the children and all of that. Just say, oh, there is this mom, there is this dad. Look at this case. That is being professional, okay? Just make sure that you are anonymous when you are presenting your cases, but tell him or her all your cases, what you've been up to and all of that, what you've learned. So that reflective supervision is where you talk about what you have done well, all right, recognizing what you have done well, recognizing what you haven't done well. Peradventure, there are some places you felt that you didn't do well, and maybe there are places you need improvement. What have you learned so far? That is opportunity for you to talk. So in essence, when you are like this, I don't see a practice educator who wouldn't love a student that learns, that shows enthusiasm, that shows passion, that you love what you are doing. That's one thing that my last practice educator saw in me and always look forward to my supervision, because I discuss my cases with enthusiasm. Even like during my interviews too, because they will ask you practical questions. Whenever I'm discussing the cases I handled and all, that's one thing that the panel see in me. They see how I'm passionate, how I talk about the families I worked with, how I'm so eager to share what I have done. Whenever they see that, they always commend me. That's one commendation I always get. I can see the passion in you when you were discussing your families. I can see how you were talking about them. You are really a passionate social worker, you know, and all of that. So make sure that you bring something to the table, guys. That's the essence of all this. I'm just in between giving you some tips, you know, what you can do, what you can talk about. Because when I say bring things on the table, someone can be asking, what should I bring to the table? Bring your cases. Your practice educator should know your cases in and out, what you have done. So following, like after like let's say you have supervision today, then the next couple of weeks you meet again. Tell her, okay, what's the progress? Have you made major progress? Probably a child was now removed from the parents, or a child is now in care, or probably you found housing, you started accommodation for this family, or probably a child, you know. Talk about it. What have you done? What did you learn? What are the things that you learn? Also bring about theory. You'll be taught theory before you go on placement. So make sure that you use your theory. Think about it. What theory applies to this? Talk about them that I can see that, okay, I understood attachment theory. That is what helped me to understand the relationship between, you know, just talk about all of those. And when they see that, come on, that will be great. And remember, they will be the ones that will write your portfolio. They will write so many things about you, how you met the various PCFs, professional capability framework. Sometimes they really don't know, especially when you have a practice educator that is not your on-site supervisor, that is not working in that organization. How would they be able to know what you have done if you didn't tell them? All right, so they need to know what you have been doing so that they can prove that you have met your PCF domains, which is what determines whether you pass or fail. I hope I know I'm stressing this, but I know why I'm stressing it, because it's very, very important. So the bottom line of what I've been saying, guys, is that you should make sure that you bring something on the table. Prepare for your supervision. Now, talking about preparation, I want to say something, because it has happened to me that one day, I'm not perfect, I forgot my supervision. I don't know what happened to me that day. I forgot. That was the first and the only day it ever happened. And of course, my supervisor, I think she logged in because it was via Teams. So she waited 5 minutes, 10 minutes. She didn't see me. Then she sent me an email telling me that she's been waiting, that we're supposed to have supervision today. Hope I'm fine. And of course, she had to ask, because I've never done something like that. That was when my head clicked. Oh my God, I have supervision today. And then I apologized. I said, oh, no, that's fine. Then we rescheduled it for the following week. All right. So some days you can find out that you might forget. Remember, I gave a tip about keeping diaries, writing everything that you've done. Write your cases, know your cases at your tips. So even when there are some days that you might be so busy to really, now you didn't have time to sit down and write down what to discuss during your placement, during your supervision. I've had days like that, to be honest. But once I show up, come on, I know what I have done about this particular case. I talk about it. So it's very easy. Very, very easy to do reflective supervision. So make sure that you keep your supervisor up to date about your cases. Talk about it. Use reflective supervision. It will help you during your placement, and your practice educator will love you for that. Another tip I'll give, guys, is always make sure that any work or any task assigned to you by your practice educator, please, as much as possible, try to carry them out. Yes, so your practice educator might tell you, okay, you need to do this. There are some things that you need to fill in your portfolio. Write this, do this. Any task that your practice educator gives you, just try as much as possible to do it, and do it on time. If your practice educator requires you to do reflective logs every week, some can say every week, some can say once in 2 weeks, no matter what it is, all right, just make sure that you carry it out. Even if it is not perfect, there is this thing about the fact that they told you to do something, you put some effort, and you go ahead and do it. It shows them that you are serious. Don't just be that unserious student that your practice educator tells you to do something, and every time you come up with excuses. All right, remember I said that sometimes the attitude of practice educators towards their students is actually because of the attitude of the students themselves. All right, so you yourself, try as much as possible, any task that your practice educator gives you, or anything that they tell you to do, please try as much as possible to do them, and to do them within the time scales. As a social worker, when you begin to practice, now you need to work. There are time scales for everything. Anything that you want to do, there are always time scales. So it's even good that you start practicing. That's why you're on placement, for you to learn. Make sure that you always meet the given time scales for any task assigned to you by your practice educator. I talked about professionalism the last time I was talking about supervision. So I also want to emphasize on that. Please, as much as possible, all right, try and be professional with your practice educator. Remember, your PCF, the number one PCF domain is professionalism, all right? Of course, it says so many things. But what I want to say is that never get too familiar with your practice educator, all right? Still maintain that professionalism. Don't just probably take anything for granted. Be professional in your writing. If you want to send email to him or her, try as much as possible to be professional in the email. Still address them the right way, and not just hi, this, hi, and all of that. Please, guys, don't do that. Address your practice educator in a professional manner when sending email, when replying emails, and all of that. Try as much as possible to be professional. This next thing I want to say, I said it in passing before now, but I also want to emphasize it. Please, can you show enthusiasm? Let your practice educator see the enthusiasm in you, the joy of being a student social worker, the joy of looking forward to becoming a qualified social worker. Try and be serious. I don't want to say impress your practice educator, because I just want you to see that as a lifestyle. That's what it should be. That's why you should make sure that your placement, or before coming in to study social work, make sure that it's something that you are passionate about. I have filmed so many videos on this channel talking about social work, what to expect, how rigorous it is, and all of that, especially at master's level. Make sure you prepare your mind for all of this. Don't grumble, don't just, because you'll be working with people, all right? So you need to be passionate about what you do. You need to love what what you do for you to thrive and excel in this profession. So try as much as possible to show that enthusiasm. Once your practice educator sees this enthusiasm in you, see this seriousness in you, try and be serious. Take every work, any assignment, whatever you are doing, take everything serious. Once he or she sees this in you, believe me, you will not have any issues with them, because sometimes from experience, not personal experience, some of my friends that I know that they are practice educators, they didn't have the best of relationship. You find out, I really found out that to an extent, not totally, but to an extent, is dependent on them. All right, because of probably just being sluggish. You know how people don't like people that are serious. You might have a practice educator that is good, but is a diligent one. All right, do this. I want you to do this. Do this. I don't want any excuse. Sometimes you don't like strict people, so a practice educator can be strict, for instance, but you can still have a good relationship with them once the person sees that, oh, you are a very diligent person, and then you love what you do. Of course, you already capture the person's heart, or his heart or her heart, and then you move on and have a good relationship with them. So try as much as possible to be enthusiastic, and let your practice educator see that you really love what you are doing. So until I see you guys in the next video, stay blessed, remain intentional, and take care of yourself. Bye.